Hi, for my next build, I will be building this Hobbycraft Net Defender, which is a series Sir-Fer. I'm actually in the middle of a larger, much more complex build, and Max of Max's Model YouTube channel is having a Canadian group build, so I thought I'd join them for the first time, meaning I can build any Canadian subject or Canadian model. And Hobbycraft is actually one of the few now defunct model making companies that was based in Canada, Concord, Ontario. I think they went out of business or actually transitioned more into a train model company around 2012 or so. I actually bought four of these kits way back in the 90s, late 90s, two of which I've already built before. They're very small kits. They're not very good kits at all. They're great for practice, but they're simple, something you can do fairly quickly, and that's what I wanted to do in this case. So over here you have Corrupt, and I think this one was called ROM. This was actually a long story, but I won a contest building this one, which was basically I won by default, third place, because only four people entered a certain category at a sci-fi convention in Montreal, and this was back in, can't be sure, late 90s anyhow. Not much information about this SFMBA group, that Science Fiction Model Builders Association, that I can't seem to find much information, so I think they're defunct also. Anyhow, a little story there. So I won't have too many updates on this. It tended to be a quick build. As usual, I like to try to add a little something extra to the build. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with this one because I'm not sure what's in the kit. So let's take a look. First, what's in here. Again, they're not very well molded. They're ill-fitting and loose-fitting. But I picked these kits up for like $3 back in the day. I think the Net Defender actually had a series of 12. You can see them on the side of the box here. 12 in total, so very simple kit here. I hope to do maybe something with the helmet over here because it is see clear through. One thing I will be doing is, instead of just painting this nice and clean as I've pretty much done for these, there's very little weathering on this. I plan to do a lot of weathering, corrosion, battle damage on this one and have a little fun with it. I'll just be building it on a small base like that, you know, dollar store base. And again, the intent is really just to enter the group build. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I tried to find a date somewhere. There's absolutely no date on the box. Very little documentation. You know, get a catalog. No date on there, and caution: not suitable for children under 3 years. So I'm good by margin of 20 times that. So I think I'm okay there. No date on the instruction. It is a simple instruction sheet. There's actually no date on the sprue trees anywhere. Yeah, it's going to be a dreadful build, I can see already. I noticed some terrible sink marks. I don't know if it pops up in the video there. You can see it. Terrible sink marks. So it's not going to be that fun building. A lot of putting to do and trimming, if it's any indication, as it was with the other ones. So that's it. Okay, a little update on the Net Defender Sir-Fer. Indicative of the quality of the kit, I noticed that they didn't even get the spelling right between the instruction manual, Sir-Fer F-E-R, and Sir-Fer on the box, F-U-R, but whatever. I've made a lot of progress on building, you know, the legs and the arms and most of the head, the helmet. And as I mentioned, there was a lot of flash. It really is uneven. You can see a lot of the very poor quality over here. As I mentioned, I wanted to make this a very weathered robot, which means I shouldn't really care too much about the quality, but at the same time, I don't want to make it look like it's plastic. So I will be doing some putting for the, the seams over here to make it at least look that it was straight at one point. Again, there's a lot of sanding that I've already done, and a lot more that I think I will have to do. One good thing about this kit compared to the other net defenders I notice is the articulation is a lot better. I did have to remove some of the plastic, but compared to the other kits, this is, much more pliable and posable, which is going to give me a few more options when I do have the final kit, which I do want to make into a kind of a diorama, but I'm not sure what exactly the poses will be. I did notice that there's still some issues with the articulation on the arms and most probably the legs. As you can see, they have these kind of donuts that go into the joints, and these are supposed to fit in and then move around with them. I had a lot of filing down to do here because the open armature area here did not match or line up with the interior. So still a lot of work there. I also notice now that this thing really, only a very small piece of this plastic actually gets into that piece that's supposed to hold it. So this is going to pop off all the time. I may have to end up gluing it, unfortunately. But at least I do have, articulation from the other points. So that's it for now. We'll see what happens next. Okay, so I've done some puttying and putting most of it together. It's looking good. Articulation is pretty good. Happy with that. When it comes to these models, it's always the legs that really you don't have the flexibility to put a pose. Basically, you can articulate them, but it's still rigid. So as you can see, these things are still all very loose and everything. I'll tighten them up later. I'm ready to prime now. I'm not crazy about these wing things on these Gundam kits. I've never been crazy about them. Unfortunately, I glued it on. I said, do I take it off now? I said, I'll just leave it there. One minor tweak I'll make to the model is basically have wiring coming out of this thing as if it was like some sort of a power pack. So I've drilled a few holes here, and there'll be, our wiring going to the gun, and I've drilled a hole on the other side here too. It'll go into the body off of these nubs over here. So I'm going to prime it up, see what it looks like, and hopefully one priming job should be enough. At the end, I'll mount it on this base, but I wanted to make kind of a mini diorama, if you want to call it that, where I have some sort of wall with a door and a few other adornments over here to make it a little look like a tech room or a rundown building, because again, I want to weather this down, put some, I'm not sure, I'm thinking this will be the outside, this will be a door going into another room or something. So I'll see how that goes. I'm going to use either this stuff or cardboard, whatever I have, and throw some decoration, some greebles on it to make it a little look techie. Maybe a back wall too, so that you basically see him in a corner. We'll see about that. So I airbrushed the base color on. For some reason my airbrush was acting up, and it wasn't always a uniform paint. But again, in this case where I intend to weather it and dirty it up, it actually was a better effect. I just created a mixture with sky blue, Tamiya paints, sky blue green, and then a little touch of white to get to that hue, which is pretty much what I wanted. So we'll see from here. A quick update on the Sir-Fer. I'm starting to work right now on the base. You can see the figures is completed, but I still have to do a lot of weathering in that and rust adding rust to the figure and things like that. But I'm working on the base right now, and I'm trying to create something, a high-tech room or something like that. What I did is I took an old CD case. That's the back where the CD would pop in on this side. Roughed it up a bit. Tried to make it look like a door that would, kind of open up. And this is the rest of the, another piece from the CD case over here that I have a wall, and I want to add a whole bunch of maybe some signage, some buttons, some pipes going into the ground type of a thing. This is all just, straws, greebles. Um, this would go kind of like this, at least that's the way I figure it so far, and then down into the ground and kind of stuff like that on that wall. And this is kind of going to be a console that you kind of walk up to and push buttons to open that door. So I'm going to try to find some small pieces of plastic to look like buttons, or something, whatever approximate things I can have, like a display. So working on it right now. In this setup, I do not know what to do really. Well, I mean, the gun might be in his hand, but it may not be, and especially the shield. I haven't really painted it. At first I was thinking of just like mounting it on the wall as something that he can get if he wants it. Can't really put it in the back because that's pretty much the whole door mechanism, if you want to call it that. But it's looking good. It's improving, and we're getting there. Another update on the buildup of the Surfer dude over here. We've come a long way. Made a lot of progress. One thing I've done is painted, obviously, these pipes, fixtures, created some little fake bolts, if you want to call it, and if you could see that there, so you can focus in there. There's a little divots going around. That was done by basically just using PVA glue, by putting 6 dots around it and then letting it dry, and then going over, I did it about 5 times. The trick there is, what you want to do is add small droplets so that it doesn't spread out. You can't put one big drop, and then you just build it up, let it dry for half an hour, put a little drop on top, and it just builds up like that. Gives it a nice texture. I think I did maybe 4 or 5 times to get that height. Looks good. Painted it up and everything. I built up the console over here. It is pinned, but you can still rotate it. I'll probably have it set at a specific angle. This is just little bits of styrene, half of a bead, and I put a little logo there, as I did with this signage in the back here. That's from RoboCop, the movie, Omnicorp. It's not actually a RoboCop model, but good, close enough. I did have to rework the paint. I did, at one point it was all purple over there. It was actually a bit of an accident with a flying droplet of paint that landed there, so I had to go back and do that again. I might do a little more painting here, but more or less this is going to be it. I also have to secure this to the base. Now I can do some gluing in the back over here with hot glue gun, but I still need something. There's really nothing on this side over here, so what I'll probably do is just shave this down into some sort of, something that fits in with the aesthetic of the room, and have something where I could pin this down on this corner and have that attached in there. I figure the pipes will go along this wall. And then the last thing I was thinking of doing is adding some sort of vent to that wall. I don't know if I'm going to take this piece maybe and put a vent there, or just make a rectangular vent itself. I want to use some wire mesh there to make it look a little bit real. And last but not least, I have to figure out how to have the figure itself not topple over and things like that. I think I'm going to embed a neodymium, a super magnet or rare earth magnet, into the base over here. And what you do is you don't have to have magnets on both sides. Just, a nail will do. That's actually a strong, magnetic hole there. And what I've done is I've taken these nail heads made them flatter and chopped them off and made them rugged so that what I can do is glue them into his, under the bottom of his feet over here like that. So I wanted to have it perfectly flush so that I have him in place and then he stands. I might get away with just one magnet, probably will do the case. I'll try one, and if I need to, I'll put another one there. Then I've got some wiring ready to for his gun and the back of his armature there. I think I mentioned it before in the other video where this will probably go in like that on one end and then into his hand, and there's a holes in the back, things like that, just to give it a little more color, really. Some orange and yellow, I figure, good contrast there. And we're getting close to the end. Last thing, I'm probably going to get rid of this shield. I don't want to use up, you know, I don't think it looks that nice on his hands, or is putting it on the wall. It looks kind of silly, so probably won't use this at all. This will probably be one more video and that's it. Okay, I've done a few things since the last time. What I've done is put a little more decoration on the back wall over here. Whatever this thing is going to be, a vent or something like that. And I needed a point to glue this base in this corner over here. There wasn't much, so what I put is something, a little piece of plastic where I could put another insert, and that will hold that end. And then I have these little notches that I'm going to be using to secure this to the base. Now what you can see is in the base I've already embedded the neodymium super magnet in there so that he can stand on that, and I've made a little few markings for and drilled out where the glue points will be. I'll either use sprue in these holes or even maybe toothpicks, just a little piece of wood so that it will hold in and then it will lock in place. You won't see it once it's all done. Just enough room for the pipes over here. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with one or two, but that's the plan. I also added a bit of wiring. I think I spoke with it earlier on to parts of the armor suit over here. One to the gun and one just on the side over here, just to give it a little more texture, if you want to call it, something to look at. That's not secured. There it goes. Anyhow, almost there. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I actually put a little cockpit. You can barely see it, but some cockpit dials in there. You really can't see it with that. It's just too dark, the helmet, because that's supposed to be like a little seat where there's a cockpit and driving this giant mecha. The magnet is so I was actually hoping it'd be a little sturdier, but it's enough to hold it in place from being knocked out really easily. It's rolling around that pivot point. I might add another magnet, but if not, we're almost there. And the big finale now. Everything's glued together. I put in two of the pipes. I had enough room. I just did it. Gave another quick coat of paint to the floor there so you don't see the magnet, and quite happy with how it turned out. I did not do as much weathering as I originally wanted to do on the robot. It just seemed weird if it was all rough yet in a room type of thing, not outside, so I left it at that. And on to the next project, I guess.